Christmas was a week away, and I sat in my room playing Nintendo and desperately trying to remember the code for Contra. I needed those 30 extra lives. My mom suddenly burst in my room and made an announcement that all 11-year-old boys want to hear during Christmas time. We're going to the mall. The mall during the holidays was designed for prepubescent boys and girls. Everything is shiny, there are decorations everywhere, and it seems like the whole world is available to you in the form of commerce delegation. With each window passed, I licked my lips and celebrated the fact that I'd be getting everything I asked for. Why? Because I'm a child of divorce. Which means Christmas is a competition between my parents, and there's only one real winner, me. After a couple of hours and one delicious hot chocolate, my mom declared it was time to go. I was reluctant, but agreed, and we were on our way. At this particular mall, the Santa gazebo was near the exit/entrance, which means we had to pass it both times. But only this time did my mom ask me if I'd like to stop by and tell Santa what I wanted for Christmas. To an 11-year-old boy, this question is a bit confusing. On one hand, I'm fairly certain that Santa is not real. But at this age, I'm not quite ready to give up on all the magic the holidays provide. Although my parents were never actually concerned with whether I believed in old Saint Nick, my father did try. He used to mail his gifts with a return address belonging to Santa Claus, always forgetting that by 7 I could read and was fairly certain Santa did not live in Bellefontaine, Ohio. So, do I want to meet Santa, Mom? You seem to have caught me on a younger day, and I'm game. We got into line and were ushered into the lit gazebo by a polite but visibly worn-out elf who had something on her shoulder that resembled throw-up, but who could be sure? Once inside, I was placed on Santa's lap, and I immediately felt nostalgic for an indeterminate time that didn't seem so long ago. I waited for the big guy's question, but Santa seemed to be a little more interested in flirting with my mother rather than fulfilling his seasonal duties. My mom seemed immediately and oddly flattered. She laughed and batted her eyes. They exchanged some quips, and from where I was sitting, it definitely appeared that my mom was flirting back. To say Santa was jolly is an understatement. I hopped down. Everybody get it? It's going to get it? All right. I hopped down, but not before explaining to Santa that I clearly expected The Legend of Zelda to be under the tree. I grabbed my mom's hand, and we were on her way. She asked the elf to show me out while she talked over a few things with Santa. This made me glad. It's about time St. Nick and my mom got on the same page. No more underwear, please. Kids want video games, super soakers. Hell, I'll take a skip it. Just lay off the whites. We returned home a little later than expected, and I was still 2 days away from winter vacation, so I knew it was bedtime immediately. I frantically wanted to know what my mom and Santa talked about, but I knew better than to ask. Even if I did, I would get a straight face and silent reply. You see, my mom was better than most at keeping gifts a secret. This was a lifelong talent she held and stemmed from an incident that had happened when she was 8 years old and asked my grandpa what she was getting for her birthday. My grandpa did not have her talent and probably told her everything she was getting days before she would open the presents. His reasoning, don't ask if you don't want to know. Not only did it ruin my mom's birthday, it ruined the chance of her children ever earning a sneak peek under the tree. I lay in bed and wondered about all the things my mom had bought me at the mall and what my dad was buying 3,000 miles away. I kept a chalkboard in my room covertly marking which parent I like better every month. Hours went by, and right as I was on the verge of sleep, a knock came at the door. Who could possibly be coming over at this hour? By the way, at 11 years old, any hour past your bedtime is too late for anything else to happen. I heard my mom's voice and another voice, vaguely familiar, but too quiet for me to make out. I crawled out of bed, tiptoed down the hall, and quietly crept halfway down the stairs. That's when I saw it. I saw who my mom was talking to. It was Santa from the mall. Still in most of the costume, minus the coat, and making my mother laugh. Then this saint of gift-giving held up a mistletoe, signifying it was time to honor the age-old tradition. My mom giggled and for some inexplicable reason muttered, "When in Rome," and went in for a smooch. They both laughed as my mom reached in and began to tickle the jolly man, causing him to laugh a little too hard, finishing it with a ho-ho-ho to soften his embarrassment. I had had enough. I rushed back to my bed as quick as my silent steps could carry. There I lay confused, sad, and oddly delighted. Was Santa going to be my new dad? What would my real dad say about all this? Wait, why was Santa kissing my mom? Did he divorce Mrs. Claus? Am I going to be the child of 2 different divorces? That's a shit ton of presents. All these questions were swirling around my head when I heard a bit of yelling from downstairs. Nothing too loud, but enough noise to send me to the top of the stairs to investigate. And that's when I saw my mom kicking Santa Claus out the door. When she turned back around, she saw me staring at her from the top of the stairs. She held the door closed, smiled, and informed me that we wouldn't be seeing Santa Claus ever again. When I asked my mom why, she replied, "We're Catholic," and walked back into the living room. When I went back to bed, I wasn't sad or upset, as my mom didn't seem that upset either. We never spoke about that evening again, and when Christmas morning finally came, I seemed to get just a few more presents than normal. I guess the guilt that comes with driving the final nail in the Santa coffin for your child results in spending more money and hoping he'll forget while zoning out to Double Dragon. As a child growing up in a broken home, guilt becomes an everyday tool. Thinking back, a little too real, wasn't it, for a lot of you? All right. Thinking back on that night, I would always try to make sense of the whole event. I could count on my 2 thumbs the amount of times my mom brought strange men home, and would only need 1 thumb to count how many serious relationships she'd had since my dad. My mom had very high standards, which means she rarely, if ever, dated anybody. And if the suitors she preferred were seasonal mythological characters, she could do a lot worse. I learned a lot from Santa Claus that night. 1, he wasn't real. 2, my mom liked chubby guys. And 3, how to pick up on single-parent divorcees in front of their children while also exposing how little prospects you have all at the same time. And when you think about it, that's the real reason for the season.
Dallas McLaughlin, everybody.